So, guys, today is July 5th. This is statistics 14. Excuse me, today is July 5th. This is statistics 1401. Our plan is to start 3.3. Now, there is good news and bad news. It's not a difficult section, it's a continuation of what we have been doing, how to find mean and standard deviation for population and for sample, except for we'll be dealing with two things. We'll be dealing with classes. So the data will be given in a class, and I can go over it. I will take the formula. I'll take an example from your book, and let me see. Hope you can see it. Just want to make sure. Stop share. Yeah, you can see it. So guys, I'm going to solve a problem and I'm going to explain how it's done. And I assigned you 4 or 5 problems from your book. Okay, guys. So if you look at this problem, this time they are saying the amount of fine is 50 to 74.99 cents is 1. The amount of fine here is 0. These are called the frequencies. Okay, how many times? The fines are in these ranges. Now, the problem is for the range, we have to find the midpoint of each range, and we find it in a very specific way. So what I have here, guys, this is our data. We are going to find the mean and the variance. Now, let me look at the question first. The midpoint. Okay, first we'll have to find the midpoint. Then let's find the mean first. Okay, so this is an example from your book. All right, and I put it in Excel. So I just want to make sure I have the right data. I'm gonna double check with you guys, and I'll do it on Excel. Okay, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, this is the question. This is your range. Okay, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175, 200, 225, 250, 275, 300. Now, when you're doing something from MATLAB, you don't have to worry about it because you can download it, right? So it's not too bad. 1, 0, 7, 10, 5, 4, 13, 4, 5, 0, 1. Okay. We have to find, this is called the frequency. I'm going to write F. And this is called the midpoint. I'm just going to write M. How do we find the midpoint, guys? Midpoint is found by adding the 2 consecutive endpoints. Okay, these are called lower limits of the interval and dividing it by 2. So I'm going to do it like this here. Now the last one is a little off, isn't it? So I have to, it's going up by 25. I can see that. So the next one has to be 325. And now it looks much better. Okay. Now I don't need this, but I'm going to leave it here. Let's shade it like it's not a part of my data set. Now, these are the data points. This is a range, okay? Range. Let's put a little hyphen here. I'm going to do it very slowly. I'm going to show you the formula. But the good news is after you find the midpoints, it's just like what we have done before. Okay. I have the answer. I'm going to check it. So be a little patient. So 62.5 appears once, 87.5 appears 0 times, so on and so forth. So how do we find the mean? We find the mean as follows. To find the mean, you add all the midpoints, whether it's population or sample, doesn't matter. You add all the midpoints, you take all the midpoints multiplied by the frequency, add them up, and then divide it by the sum of the frequencies. So let's find the sum of the frequencies first. $50. Okay, sounds good. And let's see, I'm going to hit save. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply, I'm going to do it here. I'm going to multiply this midpoint by its frequency. And I'm going to do the same for the rest. And that's why we like Excel. I'm going to add it up. I'm going to add it up. Now, according to this formula, let's bring it here. Let me explain this to you. What I did in this column is each midpoint times the frequency, each midpoint times the frequency. If I add it all up, which I did here, let's shade it something like yellow, so that we kind of know those are important points, important numbers. All I have to do is divide this number, the sum, by 50. So I'm going to say the mean, they're the same population sample. I'm just going to write mean, and I will check my answer is going to be this number divided by 50. I get this. All right. Now, let me see what's going on here. They got 50 for that. They got this, they got 182. So the answer according to your book is 182.5. I hope I got the same thing. 182.5. Not bad. Not bad. So good. Once again, the mean is done exactly the same way for both sample and population. All you have to worry about is go for the midpoint. How do we find the midpoint? We add these two lower intervals, the lower end points of the intervals, and divide it by 2. And I do the same. And the last one is a little bit of a problem, but you can always think of it as the next one coming up. If it's all going up by 25, the next one has to be 325. It doesn't take a long time if you're doing it using Excel. All right. So I'm going to take this mean. Now I'm going to find the standard deviation and of the same data set. So I don't need this. I'll put the formula in here in a second. Okay. So now my mean is this. All right, guys. I am going to, now this one you have to be a little careful, guys. Okay. I'm going to take the mean, put it right here. Because I know I got it right and I will need it to find the standard deviation. Now, all right. Now what am I going to do? Remember that formula. Let's go back and analyze the question a little bit. Let's see. They say, let's read the question. Determine the class midpoint. Okay, we did that. Amount of fine frequency. It has to be a sample. So I'm going to go with the sample. Let's see. We found the mean. We got the right answer. We'll come back to it. Okay. So, all right, guys. So let's see. Interestingly enough, I have to go to your text and show you how to find the standard deviation. It's not going to be a problem. We'll do it. So the formula for the standard deviation is this. The only difference is you're going to subtract by 1 if it's sample. It has to be sample. It's not going to be population. Um, I'll go show you the problem, but I'll show you the question, okay? And I'll compare my answers. So don't worry too much. This is the formula I'm going to use. So what does this mean? This mean mu or X bar is 182.5. From each value, you're going to subtract the mean and square it, then multiply it by this is all I care about. I'm gonna highlight these two columns, actually these three. Let me choose a color. I'm gonna make it blue. That's all I care about. I'm gonna do my work here. So I'm gonna, again, pay attention. This minus this over square. Okay. Now I have to multiply it by the frequencies. And I'm going to go back and do it right here. I have to put multiplication sign. And if I drag it down, it multiplied all those things by the frequency. Now, I am going to assume I'm going to go back and look at the question. They're using the same data point. I'm going to assume it's going to be divided by 49. Let's find the sum first. Let's find the sum first. Okay, this is the sum. It's important, so I'm going to make it yellow. Now, to get to the standard deviation for the sample, I have to divide this by 49, not 50. So I'm going to write sample standard deviation, small s, is going to be this number divided by 49. Okay. And then I have to find the square root of this. Why? This big square root. Either way, if it is a population question, which I don't think it is, I'm going to go back and check the question and fix it. If I have to just divide it by 50 and not 49, nothing major. I have to find the square root of this. To find the square root of a number, I'm gonna raise it to the power 0.5. Square root of a number simply means raised to the power 0.5. I'm getting 54.1. All right, I'm going to do a little trick here. What if it'll be very close. Now, let me go back, go to your book, and show you what the standard deviation is for this data set, okay? It's an example from your book. So let's see how well we did. Oh, this is an easy section. Group data, we are here. You may have seen this slide, not a big deal. Let me find out the problem that I just solved. This one we solved and we found the mean and the mean. Let's see. Let's read the question. The frequency on table 13 on the next page represents the total fine including late penalties. So the total fine, okay. Let's see if they're wanting sample. I don't think here it will matter too much. Okay, computed the weighted mean. We'll talk about it in a second. They're talking about sample standard deviation and all right, so here, data into total fine, including the penalties in dollar approximate standard deviation. They're telling you find the standard deviation, okay, approximate the standard deviation of the fine. So they're basically talking about sample. I can see that. Okay. When they're saying approximate, they're talking about sample. That's kind of what we did. That's kind of what we understood. And 54.163. Let's see what we got. 54.163. We did good. We did good. Once again, I'm going to give you a little recap before we go over one tiny concept. Our class will be a short class today. Again, this time we are finding the standard deviation and mean of group data. Group data means you have a range. It's not like 55. It's between 50 and 74.99, between 75 and 99.99. In order to do that, you have to find the midpoint. And how do you find the midpoint? You add 50 plus 75 divided by 2 goes here. 75 plus 100 divided by 2 goes here, so on and so forth. The last one will be a little bit of a problem, but you just pretend there is another class. 30 plus 30, 325 divided by 2 goes here. No, no. What happens? What happens is this. You once find the midpoint, you use the frequency and this nice little formula that we learned in the past from 3.2. I'll put it there to find the mean. Okay. They're really the same. Okay. You find the mean. How do you find the mean? You take the midpoint, multiply it by the frequency, put it here, and add it all up. Okay. And then you divide that guy by F13, which is 50. You could have written 50. You would get the mean. Once you have the mean, you're going to use this formula. It clearly says if it says approximate, you're talking about sample standard deviation. If it says this is the population, you're going to go with this. Only difference is for sample, you have to subtract 1 from the sum of the frequencies. Once again, how do you do it? Once you have the mean, you take each midpoint, subtract the mean, square it, multiply it by the frequency. Once you get it all here, once you get it all here, once you get it all here, you will have to add it, and then you have to divide it by 50 minus 1, and then you have to square root it. So that's the gist of the chapter. I have done a problem. There are problems like this in MATLAB. I didn't give you too many. I'll do one more problem from your packet, and we'll call it a day. Okay, it's weighted arithmetic mean, okay? It's not a very difficult concept. You guys kind of use it when you calculate your GPA. Let's see if I have a problem. I do. So let me grab this. Let me grab the problem. The problem is, I'll go over the formula, okay? That's not the issue. The problem is this. Let's work on the problem. All right. So I'll show you the problem, then I'll explain the formula. Marissa just completed her semester in college. She earned an A, which is A, B, C, D, F. So A is what? 5. So A is what? 5, but it's 4 hours. So I'm going to come back to the formula, okay? I am going to take all the grades are not worth the same. Okay, that's important. She got an A, which is 5 points, but it's 4 hours. You're going to multiply it by 4. Plus, she got a B in a 3-hour course. B is worth 4, but a 3-hour course you multiply. She got an A in another 3-hour course. A is again 5, but this time it's a 3-hour course. Okay. She got a C, ABC 543, 3 in a 5-hour course, and an A in a 1-hour course, plus A is worth 5 in a 1-hour course. Now you have to be a little patient with me. All right, so I will check the answer in the book. Now I'm going to divide it by the total number of hours. 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3 is 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16. I'm getting 16. All right, so let's do the calculation here. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 4 times 3 is 12, plus 15, plus 15, plus 5. And don't forget your 16. And what does that turn out to be? 20, 35, 45, 55, 65, 67 is what I'm getting, divided by 16. I will check the answer, so don't worry. 67 divided by 16 is a weighted average. Why is it called weighted? because the weight of the courses, how many hours take must be factored in. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll add it right here. So I'm getting 67 over 16, 67 over 16. I'm getting 4.18. So let me check the answer. I hope I have it. All right, 4.18 weighted average. Oh boy, I must have messed up. Um, let's see. 1651. Why am I getting? I'll fix it, guys. Give me a second. I'm getting 51. I must have. This is 51. 30, 35, 45, 55. Okay, let me try it again. A is 5. Maybe they're weighing it differently. Okay, guys. A is 4, not 5. So what I did is probably correct, but A is 4, B is 3, C is 2, D is 0. So let's write it down and let's redo it. Okay, let's redo it. A is a 4.0. Okay, so A is 4, and then B is 3, and then A is again 4, and C is 2, and A is 4. What do we get? 4 times 4 is 16. I'm sorry about that. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. 2 times 5 is 10. 4 times 1 is 4. And what do we get? 20, 30, 39. So 16 plus 9 is 25, 37, 41, 51. 51 over 16. We got it right now. And 51 over 16 is 3.18. So this is weighted average. Weighted average is more like, getting an A in a 1 hour course is not same as getting an A in a 4 hour course. You have to kind of multiply it by the credit hours. It's a very common use of weighted average. So 3.19, that's kind of what we got. So we messed it up the first time, but we fixed it. I don't have anything else to add other than this formula, which is the one we used, which is the formula we used here. And here, all the weights, weight times how many times that weight appears, weight times how many times that weight appears, so on and so forth, however you want to say it. This is the formula, and that's how you find weighted average. And generally, you're going to see it in the context of GPA. Now, I didn't assign a lot of problems from 3.3. It's about using the midpoints to find mean and standard deviation. It's really like 3.2. It's not very different. I hope that helps, guys. If you have any questions about your homework problems, exam questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Clearly mention your course number. Clearly give me a screenshot. Tell me where the problem is, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much. Try to do the problems from 3.3. I'll see you next class in the video.